On some island I long to be, a rocky promontory, looking on the coiling surface of the sea, to see the waves crest on crest of the great shining ocean, composing a hymn to the Creator without rest, to see without sadness the strand lined with bright shells and birds lamenting overhead, a lonely sound. To hear the whisper of small waves against the rocks, that endless sea sound like keening over graves. To watch the seabirds sailing in flocks, and most marvellous of monsters, the turning whale. To see the shift from ebb tide to flood, and tell my secret name, he who set his back on Ireland. Part 2. Clamour of the wind making music in the elms, gurgle of the startled blackbird clapping its wings. I have lost the 3 settled places I loved best. Durrow, Derry's Ledge of Angels, my native parish. I have loved the land of Ireland almost beyond speech. To sleep at Colmcille, to visit Canis, it would be pleasant.
My poem is called Lines, and it's really about the lines that tie us to a past and a landscape from old. So here we go. Trace from these lines in my left palm the tip to flesh, sacrificial carve of stone, bronze, iron. Sound my name as ritual, rising on the chant of stone circles. Prick my finger on the haw, allow blood with gravity, darkly thicken the soil, for foot on lineal paths. Cut the whistling wood, carry its mouth to source, to the reflective kin of darkened wells, to her ancient tongue speak in mountain, answer with echo. Torch the moon with word, plead her prescription to rescribe the tides, tainted only by the wishing of water over imprinted past, the flashing of silver, the heraldry of bone that builds banks naked. Score this on skin, embedded as your lines of life, of heart, of blood, never to uproot and pool as red in my palm.
One of the questions that I continue to have about Colmcille today is, how does Colmcille's landscape encounter the feminine or the feminine divine of pre-Christian Ireland? Like, it's super interesting for me to think about Colmcille as being positioned at this intersection between pagan Ireland and Christian Ireland, and he's right there, in the eye of the storm. He's right at the centre of the rupture, and so you might think of or consider Colmcille today on that landscape as being a place of blurred boundaries, a kind of a melting pot where different things converge.
This poem I call Melting Waters, and in a way it's a contrast to what has happened to the earth since Colmcille's time. And it's about a trek I did in Norway up a mountain, and I call it Melting Waters. I trek up the mountain, stand and watch the water gushing from the glacier, continuous, never easing, flowing down the naked glacier bed. Rocks uncovered that were once plucked by the power of the ice, exposed like a skeleton. Shock vibrates through me as a gigantic wall of ice splits from the weakened, melting glacier, thundering past, revealing an empty cavern behind where a waterfall cascades down its back wall. Soon, more ice will break off until the seas are filled with the snow. with the flow. While we continue with our wants and desires, our cars and our knickknacks, the earth is hurting, and its hurt will hurt us too, until we drown in the melted waters and have to start all over again.
There was something that just stuck in my head from the very beginning, and I think it was because County Kerry, from where I am, has a very rugged coastline, and so too has Donegal, that very rugged coastline. And I think there was an image sewn in my head when they spoke about St. Colmcille sailing to Iona and the boat on the water. And I wasn't aware then, but some seed took root. And the rest of it kind of followed on. You know, I'm not sure I know what it's about myself, but anyway, that's enough about me. And the poem is called Solace, which means light. And I'll read it now. Solace. The boat has sailed away, and she, bearer of the omen, is left behind. From the shore, she takes a shielded view until she can see no more. She looks down at sullen stones around her feet, wonders how they would sound if she could give them a voice. She kneels. Feverishly, her hands glide over the cold roughness. Holding one in each hand, she grates them harshly over and over against each other. The spark startles her. With both hands limpet-like across her face, she rereads her head map, decides which path. In a voice pitched like the overhead gulls, she confronts the sea. Natanta engulf her voice, but will spew her words onto other shores. Who is the keeper of the light, the half-light, and the dark?
Hi everyone, so my name's Pauline, and it's like a world premiere for me because this is the first poem I have ever written. Okay, I had a fantastic time in the workshops. So this poem is called No Columba. Locked in on the middle ground, I don't want to give an inch. Why should I surrender my thoughts and walk a mile in your size 10s, only to tread over old ground again? I could just ask questions without fear of recrimination, but would understood answers result in unease, an unease of my deep-rooted being?
Inscription, St. Giles Burial Ground, Coventry 2020, in memory of Margaret Keane. She went there speaking winter English to spend the summer of her days living in Coventry. Our mother tongue was silenced, not forgotten, and so it was carved on her headstone in Argain Bejo. This language is a weapon, all symbol and sound, a slogan not spoken, and this is our holy ground. Sacred stories have been shared, Hibernia on Iona, lonesome monks scribble on the margin, Eglanuch or Llynafyrnia. Truth lies beneath stone, language is not one thing, but calls to the other. Nilcara ekua aquivna.
So this next one is set in the future, and it's about Canocna Neve, the spot of the story where Colmcille and two others threw their staves. It's now commemorated with a large cross with lots of light bulbs stuck into it, and this is what I imagine might happen in the future when people have forgotten the purpose of that cross. Knockna Neve, the bulbs were smashed down to their spiky necks. That'd slice your finger were you to fall or slip or simply grasp this knock in a sudden gesture of desperation or curiosity about what a rotting sculpture means, studded with broken glass and stories Mamo told of it shining at night and stuff about the faithful. Did the nearly naked man die on this? It'd be cold at Christmas if he had. But big school and sneers told me that those stories came from the Middle East and that the crying man's agony was sunlit. Mamo stiffened when I mentioned this. She touched her shoulders, head and chest. I went back to the cross at nights because it's tall and far from the rummaging boys and their joyless drinking. I traced my thumb over the glass and wondered, would it change my fingerprints? Mummy says they'll take it away so, for fear more young ones will hurt themselves. They should have done it sooner. I never revealed it was on purpose when I drove my palm onto the darkened glass, just to feel if there was anything there.
A poem for B. Return to the healing contours of this landscape of myth and let it root in your troubled soul. Walk up the straight umbilical stone path that leads to the rounded, mounded belly where landed Begley's crozier. Graves of O'Boyles, Duhans, Gallaghers, and Sweeneys lie nestled in the grassy pelt that covers her pregnant prehistoric belly. Reverse history, wind the film backwards, run up the steps and make a pact with the goddess. Draw nourishment from the rich mycorrhizal networks of roots, worms, stones, myth, history, archaeology, soil and soul, and mold for yourself a new, healthy life.